If you miss a line in the game, you reset. You miss it on the track, you could die.
A few minutes later.
You miss it on the track, you could die.
3 hours later.
I gotta get out of here!
What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Gran Turismo, based on a true story. Is that the name? The actual name? Okay. This movie is based on the inspiring true story of three underdogs, a struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport exec. They risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. This was rated PG-13 for action, strong language. It's one I think the families can watch, and it stars Archie Madekwe, Orlando Bloom. Nice to see him back in David Harbour. For you avid moviegoers out there, how many times do you see this trailer in the theater? Because my answer is every time I've been to a movie over the last 3 years. I'm exaggerating, but they've done a good job at getting the movie out there, and it's a fascinating true story. I would not have believed this was a true story if it wasn't all over the marketing, even in the title, at least on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's fascinating because we look at gamers and there's this stigma, and even his dad is struggling with that, played by Jaimon Hansu in the movie. Do I support my son in his endeavors because what he's telling me he wants to do based off of him playing a video game, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. So to see someone actually go out there and do it, regardless of what the results are in the film, it's really cool. And I appreciate the attempt at telling a story like this that just, it doesn't feel all that believable. But who better to bring that to screen than Neil Blomkamp? What? Who? I love District 9. I thought Elysium was a nice attempt, and Chappie was Chappie. But this is a strange fourth movie in a filmography that, leans more heavy, obviously, into sci-fi, and it felt like he was going to stay on that path, stay on that track. He was rumored to be involved with numerous projects over the years, and then all of a sudden, Gran Turismo, based on a true story. Where? What?
You what?
And that's where the sarcasm comes from. Who better to direct this but Neil Blomkamp? I would have never imagined he would tackle this subject matter in the way that he did, but also make it extremely compelling, nailing the emotion. I do believe there are some things they try to hit on, one relationship of sorts that kind of is relegated to the background. That's unfortunate. And you have that relationship with his parents, or, a bit of a wall there that they're trying to get through all throughout the film. And, maybe not playing the most integral role we've seen in a story like this, but it's the balance of those things and keeping the focus on what we care about most, and that's the build up to these races and the racing scenes delivered. There is a video game twist and spin on these racing sequences that I found to be really intriguing, and from that first race on, I was really invested and looking forward to anytime we were going to get one of those on screen. And especially after seeing something like Ford v Ferrari, the way that movie tackled racing sequences, and one race that's the exact same race that we tackle in this movie, that was handled, that's expert level, right? Gran Turismo may not be quite on that level, but the way that they go about it is different. It's distinct. It stands out from other racing movies, and, you compare this to something like Need for Speed. Come on. It's no contest, no competition. I hesitate to fully commit to calling this a video game movie because it's not necessarily based around the video game itself. Like, the plot of the video game is not the plot of this movie. It's more so a story told about and around this video game, but it does lift up the game in a way to where I think I can kind of call this a video game movie. It's confusing. Does it matter? No.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But they do a nice job at the beginning of showing us, no, he's actually really good at this game, and whether his parents believe in him or not, and I don't want to say his parents are in the wrong at the beginning of this movie because it's like he had other obligations. There are other things he can be doing. He seems like a very smart individual, but he's wasting all of his time playing this video game. Well, turns out it pays off for him because he slowly rises through the ranks of all of these really talented athletes, because that's what they are, that's what they're referred to in this film, but he proves that he belongs there as well, and he uses his brain, his knowledge, and that attitude. I don't want to call it a fearless attitude because there's definitely fear in there, but it's up to David Harbour to bring that out of him. I mentioned Orlando Bloom. He plays Danny. He's kind of the executive guy in the background. He works for Nissan. He pitches this idea, so he's very important to the movie, but it's the David Harbour. It's David and Archie's chemistry on screen, and Jack is actually a compelling character as well because, like all good side/supporting characters, there has to be a backstory there, a backstory that we explore, and the first time it's brought up, I'm like, okay, I know I know where this is going. So, you know, it's based on a true story, right? But you are going to get those really conventional moments. I mean, there has to be an exploration of that backstory. There have to be a few villainous characters, racers that obviously think they're better than our guy that's coming from playing video games, and I guess I understand that to a degree, but also the competition within the video game community. There is a character there, and the first time you see him, you're like, yeah, I know what this guy is going to be. And he is that. He's also played by Darren Barnett, who I really like from Netflix. But there is a point in the film where they have an opportunity to do something else with his character, and they do that, right? There are choices and decisions made in this film that almost counteract my expectations, where, you know, the story, it's going in the exact way you expect, even based on a true story, which I am not familiar with, but I could still see exactly what's coming. And the way that certain topics are handled, one relationship in particular, it was there and then it wasn't there. I really struggled balancing those ideas when they would come to the forefront of the film. But again, when you get the racing sequences, they pay off, and they had this video game flair to them, and taking the concept of the game, applying that to real life, taking all of the knowledge that he has, applying that to these sequences, and it's kind of this rousing story with some really unexpected and almost tragic moments. I mean, there's one moment that comes in, it passes by, it's over, and you're like, well, no, actually, that was really bad what happened. And it's almost as if they didn't spend enough time on it, even though his character got a lot to do. So I was a bit disappointed in certain sequences, certain elements, and there's also some product placement here. And I mean, it kind of has to be there, but at the same time, it's really on the nose. But I would be lying to you if I didn't say I had fun with this film. Conventional beats aside, this is one of those rousing good times that you don't expect to have in August. And based on the trailers, I didn't know I would have as much fun with this film that I actually had. I could be kind of snobby and say, oh, well, there are some things in there that counteract, but no.
Liar!
It's one of those movies where the issues, they didn't distract me as much as I thought they would, and from an entertainment standpoint, it does its job. Before I give you my score, let me know what you think about this movie down below. Are you going to see it in the theater this weekend? And if you enjoyed this video and you want to drop a like, maybe? Gran Turismo follows the formula but delivers some surprisingly riveting sequences that warrant seeing it on the big screen. Madekwe and Harbour's shine in the film feels like a celebration of the game while telling a compelling true story. It's a nice surprise. Does it get everything right? No, but it didn't have to deliver exactly what the movie needed to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. More reviews and other things to come.